Hollywood was in shock, but no one felt the pain more deeply than Lisa Bonet. The moment she found out about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden death, everything around her stopped. For the world, he was Theo Huxtable, the charming, beloved actor from The Cosby Show. But for Lisa, he was the one who slipped away, the one whose name she never stopped whispering when no one was around. And when that call came, her entire world shattered in a way that no one could have expected. You won't believe what happened the moment she received the news. It wasn't just grief. It was as if her soul had been ripped from her body. Long before the fame, the scandals, and the heartbreak, there was magic between them. Lisa Bonet and Malcolm-Jamal Warner first met on the set of The Cosby Show when they were just teenagers. On screen, they played siblings, but off screen, something deeper began to grow. Their chemistry wasn't just great acting, it was real. Let me tell you, during those long filming hours, the two were often found laughing together, sneaking off between takes and talking about life, dreams, and escaping the pressures of Hollywood. One cast member later shared, they were always lost in their own world. That was how real and intense their bond had become. As rumors of their real-life romance started spreading, fans couldn't believe it. The golden kids of Black Hollywood were secretly in love. And the rumors, they were true. They kept things private, rarely seen together in public. But those closest to them knew this wasn't a fling. This was real. They were best friends, lovers, and emotional mirrors to each other. What made this story different? They found something sacred in each other, something no camera could ever fully capture. It was the kind of bond that felt too pure for the chaos of the entertainment industry. But this is where it gets interesting. Lisa, with her wild spirit and fearless attitude, started breaking away from her squeaky, clean image. She took bold steps in her career, especially with her role in Angel Heart, a performance that shocked America and caused tension with the Cosby team. Malcolm, on the other hand, preferred calm and structure. He stayed more reserved, focusing on directing and music. Slowly, they started growing apart, not because of drama, but because of who they were becoming. Their dreams no longer matched. Lisa was searching for spiritual truth and creative freedom. Malcolm wanted peace and privacy. And then the unexpected happened. They broke up, quietly. No tabloid headlines, no public fights, just silence. But here is the shocking part. Lisa never truly let him go. Even after she moved on, married Lenny Kravitz, had Zoe, and later found love with Jason Momoa, a piece of her heart stayed with Malcolm. She never spoke about him in interviews. She never mentioned their breakup, but her friends knew she had never healed. One of her close friends once said, he was her first love. That kind of love doesn't go away. You just learn to live around the pain. Years passed and Lisa kept living, but the emotional wound remained. And then destiny took an unexpected turn. In the days before Malcolm's death, Lisa reportedly felt something strange, a pull. She had tried reaching out to him. Some said she called. Others believed she left a voicemail, but they never spoke. The call never connected, and Malcolm never heard what she was finally ready to say. The weight of silence became heavier than ever. What was in that voicemail? Lisa never confirmed it, but one insider revealed it was something she had wanted to say for years. I'm sorry I let go. I should have fought harder. I never stopped caring. And just like that, it was too late. When Lisa got the news that Malcolm had passed, she collapsed. She was seen holding a picture of them from 1987, tears streaming down her face. That was the moment everything she had buried came flooding back. The regret, the love, the goodbye she never got to say, and the realization that the door had finally closed forever. Lisa Bonet disappeared from the public eye after Malcolm's death. Those close to her said she stopped taking calls, avoided everyone, even her family, and spent her days in complete silence. She wasn't just mourning a person, she was mourning a lifetime of unsaid words. For years, she had been the mysterious, unshakable Lisa Bonet, the woman who walked through Hollywood like a goddess no one could touch. But now, she was a broken woman, shattered by a truth she had kept hidden for decades. You see, Malcolm wasn't just her past. He was the part of her that she never stopped carrying in secret. And when he died, it felt like losing a piece of herself she could never get back. Zoe Kravitz, her daughter, had only known bits and pieces of that love story. She had grown up hearing whispers, watching her mother glance away when someone mentioned Malcolm's name, or fall into deep thought during certain episodes of The Cosby Show. But now it was all coming to light. Let me tell you what really happened the night Lisa finally opened up. Zoe came home from a film set after reading her mother's message. "Zoe, it's Malcolm. He's gone." When she entered their home, she found her mother sitting in the dark, mascara streaked down her cheeks, gripping a faded Polaroid photo of her and Malcolm. Lisa looked up and whispered, "He was my first real love." For the next 2 hours, Lisa poured her heart out like never before. She told Zoe everything, how she and Malcolm used to write each other letters during breaks, how they drive around the city dreaming of quitting Hollywood and moving somewhere quiet, how he made her feel safe, seen, and truly loved. And then came the twist. Lisa admitted that when she and Malcolm broke up, it wasn't because of one fight or betrayal. It was because she didn't know how to be loved the way he loved her. "He was gentle, and I was chaos," she said. "When he stopped trying, I didn't fight hard enough to stop him from walking away." Zoe sat there, speechless. For the first time in her life, she saw her mother not as a larger-than-life icon, but as a woman, vulnerable, haunted, and full of pain. Lisa confessed something else, something that left Zoe stunned. "I loved him more than I could ever love your father. Not more deeply, just differently." That sentence changed everything. It explained the emotional wall Zoe had felt from her mother growing up. Lisa wasn't cold, she was guarded, and she had been carrying the weight of that unfinished love story for decades. After that night, Zoe did something deeply personal. She wrote a poem titled "The Silence Between Us," inspired by her mother's heartbreak. She never shared it publicly, but one of her closest friends later revealed that it was one of the most powerful and painful things she had ever written. It was like she was writing for both herself and her mom, the friend said, to heal a wound that neither of them fully understood until now. But here is the craziest part. While Lisa was mourning privately, the news of Malcolm's death was causing waves across the industry, and not just because he was gone, it was how he died, and the strange things that followed. He had been found unconscious in the pool of a private resort in Santa Barbara. The 911 call came at 3:12 a.m., placed by a male friend who sounded panicked and breathless. "My friend's in the pool. He's not breathing," he cried. But when paramedics arrived, it was already too late. Malcolm was gone. No drugs, no alcohol, just melatonin in his system, no signs of trauma, nothing that could explain how a healthy man known for his love of yoga and swimming could drown in a shallow pool. But here's where it gets even more mysterious. Security footage from the pool area was missing. Gone. Completely wiped out between 2 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. The police said it was a tech error. But fans didn't buy it. Everyone started asking questions. Why was the footage gone? Why hadn't Lisa's voicemail been returned? Who was Malcolm arguing with on the phone that night? Witnesses reported he had seemed distant, even upset, sipping wine alone and writing in a small leather journal. Someone overheard him say, "You don't understand. I gave everything. I have nothing left to explain." As the days passed, the mystery around Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death only grew darker. Fans, journalists, and even people from within the industry started digging deeper. Everyone wanted answers. Malcolm's final Instagram post added fuel to the fire. Just hours before his death, he had shared a calm video of the ocean with a cryptic caption, "Water reveals what silence hides." Be still, be honest, be free. It sounded poetic, but it also sounded like a goodbye. Some believed it was a spiritual reflection, others feared it was a hidden cry for help. But what no one expected was what came next. Insiders from the resort where he passed started speaking out. One bartender said Malcolm had spent hours that evening alone at the bar, scribbling in a journal and refusing to make eye contact. He wasn't drunk, he wasn't high, he was just lost. Another guest claimed they overheard him having an intense phone call. His voice was sharp, pained. "You don't get it. I gave up everything for this," he said. "I'm done explaining myself." But who was he speaking to? That question remained unanswered. And then came a shocking revelation. Malcolm had been writing a memoir. That's right, a tell-all book. According to a publishing source, the title was going to be Theo's Truth, What You Didn't See on Thursday Nights. Let me tell you, this wasn't just a walk down memory lane. Malcolm was ready to speak out about what really happened behind the scenes of The Cosby Show. The good, the bad, and the lies he had kept quiet about for decades. He had stayed silent for years, but he was done protecting others. He wanted to tell the truth, even if it meant shaking up everything. But here's the shocking part. Just weeks before the memoir was supposed to be announced, Malcolm was gone. And the manuscript, nowhere to be found. His family said they hadn't received it. His publisher had no final draft. And his personal journal, the one he carried with him everywhere, had not been released either. Fans started asking, was someone trying to silence him before he could tell his truth? Back in Hollywood, people began noticing something strange. The cast of The Cosby Show wasn't reacting the way fans expected. Bill Cosby remained silent for almost 2 full days. When a local reporter finally reached him outside his home, he simply said, "I'm praying for his soul, but I don't want to talk about Malcolm right now." Cold, detached, vague, it didn't sit right with anyone. Why would the man who played Malcolm's father for nearly a decade have nothing to say? Then Felicia Rashad posted a short tribute on Instagram. She called it a profound loss and mentioned Malcolm's deep wisdom, but didn't say whether they had stayed close. No stories, no memories, just a cold, polite farewell. Keisha Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy, only posted a black and white photo of Malcolm to her story. No caption, no words, and it disappeared within 24 hours. Fans started demanding answers. Why were their tributes so hollow? What were they hiding? Tempesty Bledsoe, who played Vanessa, broke down during a podcast appearance. Through tears, she said, "He was my brother, but I think he was carrying something none of us truly understood." That one sentence hit differently. What was Malcolm carrying? Was it guilt, grief, a truth so heavy it destroyed him from the inside? And then another insider dropped a bombshell. Malcolm hadn't spoken to Cosby in over 10 years. He had distanced himself completely, especially after the assault allegations began surfacing. In a 2018 interview, Malcolm said, "I love the legacy of the show, but that doesn't mean I co-sign everything behind the scenes." He was careful with his words, but the meaning was clear. He was no longer willing to protect anyone. As the pressure built and the silence deepened, a storm of secrets began to swirl around Malcolm's final days. People close to him started connecting dots the public hadn't yet seen. A close friend, who asked to remain anonymous, revealed that Malcolm had been struggling with something deeply emotional in the months leading up to his death. He wouldn't say more, but his voice shook when he mentioned it. He said Malcolm had become distant, more guarded than ever, and had recently told him, "If something happens to me, just know I tried." At the time, it sounded dramatic, but now it felt like a warning. Lisa Bonet, meanwhile, stayed completely silent in the public eye. No interviews, no statements, nothing. But insiders say she was a shell of her former self. Friends described her as unreachable. She reportedly kept Malcolm's last Instagram post saved on her phone and read it over and over again. The words, "Be still, be honest, be free, echoed everything she had never been able to give him. And now she never would. Zoe Kravitz, still stunned by what she had learned about her mother's past, took it upon herself to honor Malcolm's memory quietly. She lit a candle at the edge of a lake and read the unpublished poem she had written, The Silence Between Us. It was her way of giving voice to the pain her mother had carried in silence for so long. And even though Malcolm had never been a part of her life directly, Zoe told a friend, he helped shape the woman who raised me, and for that, I owe him everything. But this is where it gets even more tragic. Days after Malcolm's memorial service, a legal battle began to unfold behind closed doors. His family wanted access to his journal and personal notes. But according to insiders, someone else had already claimed them, someone tied to the Cosby production. Documents showed that a private security firm had taken the journal from Malcolm's room the morning after his death, claiming it was contractually protected material. Protected from who and why? That question shook the entire situation. Was Malcolm silenced before he could expose something that would have destroyed a legacy? Some now believe that his memoir contained more than just personal stories. They believe he had written about the darkness behind The Cosby Show, the secrets, the manipulation, the emotional toll it took on him and others. Lisa Bonet, who had once clashed with Bill Cosby over her own creative choices, may have known more than anyone. But now she was choosing silence. And that silence speaks volumes. Tributes continued to pour in. Fans from around the world posted old clips of Malcolm and Lisa, calling them the love story that never got its ending. One comment read, "They raised us, and now we grieve like family." At the gates of the resort where he passed, candles, handwritten letters, and photos began to pile up. People didn't just mourn his death. They mourned the weight of everything he never got to say. In the end, Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just another actor. He was a voice, a symbol of strength in an industry that often demanded silence. And what makes this story different? It's not just about love lost or death. It's about how silence can destroy people, how regret can become louder than words, and how sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones we never got to hear. As for Lisa Bonet, she's still grieving, still quiet, still holding on to that one photo from 1987. The story she lived but never told will now live on through whispers, memories, and the heartbreak of what could have been. Because sometimes destiny takes an unexpected turn, and by the time you realize what truly mattered, it's already too late